Right, guys. So please have a seat. We need to start because 45 minutes is a really short time to introduce you into this topic. So we will definitely run out of time, but we'll see what we can make here today. So my name is Thomas. I'm here with Lukáš, and our plan is to provide you with the perspective on Power Platform from the eyes of professional developers. Of course, we are glad that we can introduce the sponsors for the event who made it possible. And now let's get started. So I have been working with Power Platform for a couple of years. My background is in the .NET area. I came from professional development. Lukáš, can you?
Yeah. So as you see, I'm the Power Apps enthusiast. I'm a newbie as a speaker. This is my first time, but I'm working in IT 17 years. I was a Java developer. It's not fun with Microsoft, but yeah. And yeah, I'm taking care about the Power Apps designers, and I'm making really cool design for the Power Apps.
So let's frame the problem here. When we, as professional developers, come to Power Platform, we often experience weird things. So this is a meme which was originally presenting code review and code quality measures. I adapted it a little bit for the platform tooling. And I want to ask you, are there any people who consider themselves professional developers? Okay. Okay.
It will be hard.
So I will need to change the message a little bit. All right. No problem with that. So let's say that you want to learn how to, build these solutions in a more structured approach, and you want to get rid of the usual troubles that we all experience. Is there anyone who hasn't built a Power App yet? Okay, you people. Is there anyone who hasn't built model-driven Power App? Okay, a few people. All right. So I like to summarize the issue with professional tooling and professional developer workflow with the words of Steve Mordew, like many people do. So I believe there is a lot of focus today from Microsoft's side on enabling everyone to build apps, but there is very little focus on helping professionals work with their tools and with their way how they're used to build apps. Because the main focus is now every average person can build apps. This session should introduce you into what we can do about this and how we can make it attractive and productive for professionals. So when you start building apps and those apps become critical and you start working in multiple developer teams, you often get to hear things like these. Yeah, so you start conflicting. You need to travel back in time, to see who made the change. You need to be able to have multiple environments for development and then synchronize the changes and resolve conflicts. And there's a lot of issues when working in larger teams on large scale projects. And we aim to cover some of the problems here in this session. So you may have seen this pyramid in the past. It is taken from the Microsoft documentation, and it somewhat outlines some classification for applications and solutions that you're building. And they recommend to split those apps into like 3 categories based on the support model. So we have these apps which are really for like individuals or small teams, which are not really that important. So if it doesn't work, people don't scream. Then you have apps who somehow outgrown the productivity category, And if they don't work, people start screaming. Yeah, so you need to start, looking at it in a way that you separate development, testing, production environments. You need to be able to use some sort of life cycle management and stuff like that. And then you have critical applications, and we can use Power Platform for critical apps as well. I have built many apps which have tens of thousands of active users for some governmental agencies and stuff like that. So we have some experience with it. And if you start building such application, you really need to think differently. And you need to work differently to be able to do it in scale with multiple developers. So as you grow, as you go from the bottom to the top, your pain as a developer increases. Yeah, because you need to take care of a lot of stuff. What I discovered recently, because I do a lot of governance strategy and operating platform operating model as well, it is the other way around for IT people. Yeah, so they are kind of fine with all the safeguards of managed environments and stuff like that. But when it comes to letting people create stuff in default environment, that's where the real pain starts. But we're focusing on development in this session. So to kind of summarize what really frustrates me as a developer when I come to Power Platform, I have some bullet points here. We need to click a lot. We need to use the web browser. There's a lot of loading indicators. We need to wait all the time. It is hard to replicate problems and do repro steps. There is very little information how to manage a project, like a big project in source control, and how to use Git and stuff like that. There are some blog posts, there's some little documentation, but it is very nice for demonstration, not for production workload. So we're in a situation where Power Platform is positioned to serve both, people without former programming background and those professionals. And I'm saying that we really need those professionals to join the platform to build those large critical applications, and we need to make it attractive. But the problem is that there's a lot of gaps in the tool set and documentation, which we need to deal with. So the question here is, can we make the development workflow simple and efficient and probably interesting for professionals? So we'll work with the hypothesis that it is possible, and we can integrate existing tools, outside of Power Platform and in Power Platform, to make the process very familiar for the professionals and make the workflow reliable. Yeah. So how do we do that? We need to start with providing them with an integrated development environment. So many people who build Power Apps will tell you that working with the web browser is a real pain compared to the textual interface and the IDE Visual Studio and stuff like that. And it really takes time to build apps in the web browser because you watch loading indicators all the time. So first you need to focus on how the developer experience looks like. So you need to have some transparency in the solutions that you build, even though it is not exactly imperative programming that you write like .NET and JavaScript, even though you can. A lot of stuff that you do in Power Platform is also some sort of markup or code that is being generated in the background. And you should be able to work even with those textual declarative representation of what you create in Power Platform. And you should be able to do that from an IDE. So we use Visual Studio Code, and that's what we'll be demonstrating today. Then, when you work with these projects, you really need to have some structure, naming conventions and folder structure in the repository. You want to be consistent. You want to have it easy, to be scaffolded and created. Then you need to build the solution, because if it's not in the live environment, but it sits on your computer or a CI/CD server, you really need to have a process to build a Power Platform solution, which you can import to a live environment from the source code that you have on your local machine. And that's where a build system like MS Build comes handy. And once you can build a working stable version, you want to deliver it to different environments. You need to resolve conflicts between different team members working in parallel. And you don't really want to do manual deployments and stuff like that. So everything you'll be showing here is considered unsupported. So like, don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing. But I think it's an interesting insight for you to see, how this works. So where do we want to get? What's the ideal target? So first, we use Azure DevOps. You can use GitHub Enterprise for whatever works for you to track the backlog items. Then you want to have someone like function consultant or UX designer to prototype with the customer and do some sort of iterating on the prototype. That's what Lukáš will be showing in a minute. Then once you have the prototype, you want to take that prototype and create a working solution out of it. So you want to export it from Figma, for example, put it into VS Code, and then push it to a live Dataverse and Power Platform environment, so you can start trying out the application. Yeah, once you're happy with the result, you do some sort of back and forth modifications. You want to push it to a Git repository. This is a source control where you can keep track of all the changes between team members. You can have branches, for people working on different features at the same time. It is really cool. It is not part of the session to explain it, but definitely get familiar with it. And we're looking also into some sort of testing and behavioral testing, also not part of this session. Once we agree that the code is all right, it goes to code review, and we can release it. The build pipeline in Azure DevOps is launched. You can create the artifacts which can be deployed to an actual environment, and that's when another pipeline comes in, which can deliver it to like the DevBox or like testing production environments. So this is the high level overview. And now let's have a look at it from the everyday developer's perspective. So I get a task from the backlog and I start working on it. So first I need to initialize a repository. If it's a new project or clone an existing one, then I create a local branch in that repository for the changes that I'm doing. Once I'm done, I can start building components or fetching it from Figma or doing it on the live environment and synchronizing it to my computer. Once I am ready to test it, I can get an environment which is pre-provisioned with all the dependencies from other team members with the latest version of the application. This environment is short-lived, so I will throw it out after finishing my task. I can build it, implement the changes, test it, and stuff like that. Then I create a pull request in Azure DevOps to have someone review my code and my changes. And after that, I clean it up and start over again, and I'm continuing with the next task. So now let's have a look at what Lukáš built. And because this is third version of this session, and if you will ever see one of this session on any other event, it is always different. So today, the specific is that we'll be showing how prototyping can be done, and I think it's a really cool experience. So let's say that we have a customer. Many of us probably experience quite often, and we have some simple specification like, hey, let's create an app for managing service cases and scheduling technicians and booking appointments. So Lukáš, present me with a solution.
Okay, thank you. At first, do you have everybody experience with the Figma or? Okay, if not, the Figma is a tool for the prototyping, for the designing your mobile apps, web apps, for your marketing logos, presentations, for everything what is close to the design. So what it means, so we prepared the plugin in the Figma, which creates from the design to the code for the Power Apps. So it means the output will be XML files. So I will start. What I prepared is the Figma is working like you have pages, you have frames, you have objects here on the Figma. So I created the page. This is the same as something like website. This is already the same. So I created this demo presentation. We already prepared the library. The library, it means like the components, what you have in Power Apps, sitemaps, bars, the forms, and others. So we already prepared the libraries. As you see, I hope you see, we created already the master file, which is containing more than 300 components and more than 20 styles. So easily you can just add it to your file in Figma, and that's all. You can start make a puzzle for the customer. So everything here on the left side, you can see there are a lot of components there. So at first, I need to create the frame. This is the basic thing. And I put something like typical air code.
Let's imagine that we have a business for HVAC equipment maintenance. We need to create an application to move the customer out of the Excel spreadsheet for tracking appointments and service cases.
So I will just zoom in. Now let's start with the header. So I will just find in the assets that's naming for the all components, and I can easily drag drop here.
So the reason why we're not doing this in a Power Apps Studio is really, the freedom that you can have while designing the solution. So as you can see, we can very quickly iterate and compose the UI without taking care of how those individual components are bound together, or how the data model looks like, or whether the PowerFX expression is correct. So we can build pretty much anything freestyle here, which is a good starting point for the ideation process with the customer.
And now I'm just easily creating the sitemap. As you see, it's very responsible. It doesn't matter if it's a desktop, mobile, everything. So you can use it really responsible for everything. And just put the last thing. It's like take query, which is saying the view here. And very easily you can drag drop here and put in the place. And again, resize for that. So that's the skeleton of the application. I can really easily. So which color do you want, a customer?
Let's take red one, orange one, something like that.
Okay.
Orange.
Great, the orange. I guess you can.
I would like to have my own logo in there. Is that even possible?
Yeah, this is the really great.
Nice. That was quick. Okay, let's change some labels in the sitemap. Lukasz, can we put service case in the menu? Is that possible?
Yeah, I will just zoom in. So here, as you see on the right side, so every component has some properties which can easily change the naming, the placeholders, everything what you want. So maybe you can just put the word. And what was the name for the label?
Case.
Case. Great.
And I would like to see different icon. Can you do that?
Yeah. So let's call, for example, work.
That looks easy.
Yeah, it's a blue one. Okay.
Have you ever done this in model-driven apps? Does it take 3
Okay,
minutes or something?
Okay.
So can we rename some columns, for example? So if we run a case, I would have like a customer column there.
Okay, how many columns do you want?
I'm fine with 3. Give
Three.
me 3.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
good. So now let's call the second column customer.
Okay, no problem.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so I want to have some appointment date. Yeah, can you do that in the third column?
Appointment date?
Yeah, date. Let's
Date,
call it
just the date,
Yeah.
okay.
And now, well, I changed my mind. I would like to have the date as a second column.
Yeah, the customers, they're really crazy. Okay, no problem. I only will do worry. What?
Oh, cool.
Second.
That's easy. That costs nothing to build. So Now, can we have a look at some form? Like, what happens if I open the record?
Yeah, so now it's what we did a couple of months ago. We created a plugin because Figma can have very old plugins, what you are just creating and can be like a free pay, doesn't matter. But what we did, we created a plugin which is called Design Kit, what was presented on previous slides. And what is doing? This kit is doing that you just selected the frame, and this frame will be parsed and exported as XML for the power-ups. After that, the dev kit, what will be presented, then this dev kit just build it if it's suitable for the power-ups and can be pushed back to your environment for the solution. So I just only select the main frame and just put submit. And voila, this will be exported to the zip because the XML is parsed on the multiple parts. So it means like there is uploading, this is saved query. It will be form, there will be form. In this case, there will be entity option set for the variables. So I will just save it and just show you how this look like. And here is the output. As you see, there are modules entity option set. Option set in the Figma means that you have your local value variables. So it means you can specify the same as in a Power Platform.
These days, Microsoft calls it choices.
Okay, thank you.
Former name is option set. We
Yeah.
prefer to stick to the old names.
So in this choices, you can put the keys and you could put the values. And if the plugin will find that you have the collection there, will be also exported to the XML. So I will just back here. Here. And you see there are choices, location, where is the Prague, Ostrava, Brno, the name of the cities. And the same as is here, Prague, Ostrava, Brno, with these keys for that. And the same is there for the saved queries. You have the same name here.
So views, database,
Yeah.
there are some forms.
We have here the sitemap, where is the SEC.
I'm not sure if like many of you have seen these, but this is what gets exported with the solution from the environment. Yeah. This is the same scheme.
But okay, this is not all. So I've already created in Figma last year another plugin, the same for the Canvas applications. It's very robust, but we decided put it as a one solution in the design kit, which will be open source, published to the GitHub. So, and I just very easily just show you what I'm talking about this. Currently, it's called the Power-Ups IMAX this plugin. And this plugin just is able from the JSON because Canvas apps can be saved on JSON or YAML file. So it means that you can easily just open, for example, the YAML files and already prepared designs from the Canvas application, and you can easily just put this as a design. You can see on the left side there is prefixes for every object there, which means that I can know that this button has the prefix btn, and the same could be button plus the board, and the same for the exporting, where I can just select the screen and just export to the YAML file, and will be easily exported the same format as Microsoft Power Apps using for the Canvas, with the same names like buttons, HTML viewers, labels, And then you can just put to your Canvas application, which is exported through the pack, and easily just drag drop here to your exported, and put this magic pack Canvas pack for my application. Yeah, yeah. Wait for it. It's Murphy's here.
So I'm very sorry to cut off
Yeah,
Lukasz.
but
This was an amazing demo. Thank you very much. Lukasz has a public version of his plugin, right?
yeah, yeah.
In the Figma gallery. It works for the Canvas apps. So the last thing you saw, you can try it out today. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also want to bring the model-driven capabilities that you saw here to the plugins. So we somehow still try to sort out how to do that together. Yeah. And because this is very work in progress, and what you saw here today is not really meant to be used tomorrow, but you can really get inspired by what is possible. We decided to publish the work in progress code on GitHub. So if you want to look at that or help us or give us some suggestions, we will share the link. I actually have it in my presentation. Yeah, so I'll take it back. And if there is anyone interested in helping us with this effort, you can join. So,
Well, I will try in very soon, in the next month, to put this together with Canvas and model driven. This for the model driven, it's already published on GitHub. It's already functional.
but it's not very much for consumption today.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say. Yeah, it's for development
Yeah,
purposes.
for the development, but I guess February, March will be merged together, and we will just share it and link it in our social networks.
Yeah. Also, I have a registration form if you're interested in updates. So this was the first demo. We have around 15 minutes left, so I need to really speed up. So this was prototyping. If you want to join the development, here is the link to the GitHub repository. We will share the name of the Lukasz plugin again at the end, so you can find it. I forgot to put the link here, but this is the first demo. Now let's move to the other one. So now you saw more perspective of a functional consultant, UX designer. Now I will again take a T-shirt of a professional dev. So I have these XML files. I have different sort of export formats from Power Platform. Now, what do I do with it? How do I like use my IDE, my VS Code to work with these definitions? And to demonstrate you what you can do with the out of the box tools provided by Microsoft, I have prepared a demo here. It may look a bit complicated, but it can also be simplified with a plugin like Lukasz, but for VS Code. We will show you that. So now let's imagine we are creating a new project. We are starting from scratch. So this is my VS Code editor, and I've got nothing in here. So I need to start with initializing the repository. So I have a script prepared here. I will share it with you as well, so you can replicate what I'm doing here. So now just follow me to see what's going on in here. So in the terminal, I just entered PowerShell because I'm on Mac, so we will likely want to use it on Windows, right? So I made it in PowerShell. So first step is that I initialize the Git repository. This creates a hidden folder, and it keeps track of all the changes that you make here. So the next step is that I will create a Visual Studio solution. That is something you won't find in the Microsoft documentation for Power Platform, but it's a very common thing if you work with .NET, for example. Yeah, so this is a file which kind of keep tracks of all the projects which you have in your repository. And if you have multiple and you want to build them at once, this is really handy because this can call the individual projects to build them. It is not a Dataverse solution. It is Visual Studio solution. It's an important distinction here. Yeah. So now I have an empty solution. I want to make a source folder
It is a common convention in the open source community that the repository usually has this src source folder where you put all the source code. Yeah, so now we created that folder, and I want to create a Dataverse solution. So I have a command here ready, which initializes a new project which contains a Dataverse solution. Because it's not very well thought through, the CLI, it also created me a source folder. So I will want to definitely rename it to something more sensible. So I will move to the newly created folder by PAC CLI. This is official tool from Microsoft, all right? So you can use it yourself. And now I just renamed the folder to declarations because that's where all the things that you're clicking in the maker go when you export them. And it's like declarative description of what you made in Power Platform. Now, because there is a bug in the way how the CLI is built by Microsoft, I have a handy script here which can do some sort of patching of the created file. So you don't have to worry about that. It just instructs the .NET tooling that it can actually work with this CDS approach, which is not .NET, but that's Power Platform thing. Yeah, and the next step is that I add the newly created project. This is the folder, my Dataverse solution. I add it to this file, which is the Visual Studio solution, which keeps track of all the projects in my repository. So now I added it. And if we look at the Git, this is an extension in VS Code, we can see all the changes which happened since I created the folder. So I have some files here. This describes the solution, how it's named, who made it, and it's pretty much empty by now. So I have some files, so I can commit it. I initialize the repository, and now I don't have any changes here, so I can continue. So now we want to try to build the solution. It is empty. It does not contain anything, but we still need to have the zip file, which we can import to Power Platform. So I called .NET build, and it created this solution, this zip file, which can be imported. It is empty, but we still want to import it, so we can start adding stuff to it. So now I need to tell the terminal, the CLI, where it should connect. So this URL that I just put in is my Dataverse Power Platform Dataverse instance in a Power Platform environment, and I connected to it to a previously created one. So now when I do any commands, it communicates with the live Power Platform environment. Now I want to import the solution container to that environment, and this will take a while. So this is my first interaction with Power Platform, and I will need to wait 2 minutes. So before it is done, I will try to explain how to work with those environments. Right? I previously said that it is a good practice to have multiple environments in multiple dev teams, and I really want to stress it out that you want to create at least one environment per developer, right? Because then you can keep the feature development isolated, and you can integrate the changes on the source control level, which is how it's usually done in professional development. So I have my own developer environments. These are for free. If you don't have it blocked in your tenant, everyone can create up to 3 environments for their personal development use. You can restart them every time, like have them clean, and you can work with them for your development purposes. So now my solution is imported. So I want to call another handy command, pack tool maker, which will open Power Apps Maker portal on the specific environment. So you can see that I'm here on this environment. A developer environment not meant for production use, and it is free. And now when I switch to solution, I can see that my solution got imported here. Sorry, this is a leftover from my trial. So I will just remove this. This is not supposed to be here. So now we've got our solution container here. It is called my Dataverse solution. And I can create some components in it. So like canvas art, model maps, tables, schema, workflows, plugins, whatever we want. So I will start with adding a form. So I will include a test table here. I will select forms, and this is what I want to get into my repository, so I can put it into source control. So I included this form. If I open it here, you can see that I have a designer where I can see how the form looks like. So, for example, I have a name here. Let's add this one here. I'm going to save it. And now, since it is in a solution, I can export it back here. So I can use this command, pack solution sync, which can bring the changes back to my local computer. So now it exports the solution, it unpacks the content, it kind of transfers the zip file into more manageable pieces of XML documents and JSON definitions and like scripts and everything which is included in the solution. And it will map the output to my folder. So now you can see there is just the other folder, which contains some description about the solution. But once the command is finished, I can see a new folder here called entities. This is a former name for Dataverse tables. And you can see that my form that I created here previously is exported here, and I can see its definition. So pretty much everything you see on the form is here in the XML file, and it is ready for me to submit it as a change. So these are, for example, buttons on above that form. This is table definition. I have some reference to what I'm building here, so I can commit, edit form, and I can send it to the source control server now. So next step is to show you where the danger is, because making changes to the definition files is quite dangerous, because if people start putting some nonsense here and they call build, it will produce the solution. It doesn't complain here. Yeah, that's a problem, because if someone submits this for a code review, people usually don't go through every single attribute in every single XML to check if it's malformed or not. That's why Microsoft doesn't recommend it, to modify these XML files directly. But I think there is a way. So now I was able to successfully build it. No one can see there is a problem until you try to import it. For many cases, it will go through the import, and users will discover the problem in the runtime when they open the app, which is the worst case. Yeah. So to kind of catch the problem sooner, we have developed and introduce a handy package which can extend the build process. We have also open sourced it, so there is a documentation for it in development, not for production use. Yeah, treat it like that. And there is a guide what you can do. Because I made it yesterday, this is our internal tool which we want to share with you. It is still not visible on a NuGet because of some sort of publishing problem, which I hope it will be resolved by the end of the week. So next week you will be likely able to download it. So in the meantime, I have a workaround here to take the package from my local computer. You can do that too. It is documented in the repository. So I will create a file, NuGet config, which tells my .NET that they should find this package on my local computer. So Power Platform MS Build tasks, they are now stored on my computer here on this path. And I just let the .NET know about that. And next step is that I need to add something to my project file. So I open the CDS project of my .NET of my Dataverse solution project, and I will include few more lines. Now let's have a look of what these are. So you can see that this file describes how the process of building the solution should look like. So I have some name of the solution here. I have version. So it can keep track of major minor versions. These are calculated automatically based on changes you have in your Git repository. So I have committed 2 changes that will produce version number 2. Yeah. And I have a step here which validates the component schema. So this extends the native Microsoft way, how they're building the solution by some additional steps. So I'm validating whether the schema is all right, because here I had build succeeded. Now, if I do that again, I hope it will not succeed. Yes, we've got a nice error here. So you can see that the form definition is not valid because someone messed up with the language code and put some string in there. That's, of course, not right. So developers can see that on their local machine. And once you send it to the source control server, there can be an automated pipeline as part of code review and pull request, which runs this build on the Azure DevOps side to make sure no defective code, which has malformed definitions, is committed. Of course, it doesn't check everything, yeah, but there's a lot of stuff that we're checking. So specifically, you can see what sort of definitions we are verifying. So here is a list of components that we can check. So like tables, relationship mappings, environment variables, views, forms, flows. I created a definition for flows. You can check both XML and JSON files. So flow schema, for example, here is a JSON schema file, which kind of makes sure that the connection references are there and everything. If you look at the form that we created previously, it has this XML schema definition file, and it contains all the stuff, how it's supposed to look like. Yeah. I think this is the only public place where this XSD exists, because Microsoft published it like 4 years ago, and ever since, there has been a lot of changes. So we spent a lot of time trying to make this work with the current, solution schema. So if you want to pick it up, please do it here. I would like to ask you one thing. If you miss something in here, or for some reason it doesn't work for you correctly, when it should, please create an issue here and we will fix it. Yeah. Don't create your own fork of this, because it will be a lot of work, to keep this up to date. Yeah. So please create issues instead of forking your own version of this. Now I want to fix it. So I can move to the form. I can see that this is the problem. So I can just discard the change I made here. Yeah. And if I build it again, it should go through. Now we're good to go again. So this was a quick demonstration, and I would like to now show you how this can be done even better, and we will need to finish. So this is the link for the demo script. This is the link for the open source repository for these build tasks. We plan to introduce a lot more of them. We've got like 20 tasks internally, and we've published 3 of them. So we will keep removing our internal stuff from it, and we'll be happy to let you consume it and help us, keeping it in shape and maintained. Now the third demo is called dev kit. So we previously saw design kit, and this is this process that I demonstrated, but significantly simplified. Hope I will be able to launch the recording. Yeah, no. Okay, enable content. That's the reason. At least a little bit of this. I tried to include Microsoft Stream in my presentation, and I can see it was a mistake.
It's an Apple.
I don't think that's the reason. Come on. Come on. Yeah, so pretty much we extended Visual Studio with an extension where you can manage your dev boxes. You can claim them. You can work with them, and you don't need to remember the commands that I did here. So now I will show you how to create a new project real quick. So I just initiate the command to create a new project. It asks me for some sort of project name or code, how the apps will be named, blah, blah, blah. Who is the publisher? And after a little while, I've got all of this scaffolded and prepared with all the structure that you need, thanks to .NET new templating engine. So you can also build this. This is not open source yet, but we also plan to do that in the future. You can manage your environment here that you work with. You have the source code here. And if we move forward real quick, you can see that there is like a configuration file for package. So it takes all your projects and it can deploy them from the automated pipeline. It also contains configuration data. So if you need to move data between multiple environments, you can do that using this data file where you can put like any sort of configuration you need to be able, you need to distribute with your application. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And I promise the last thing, modifying the changes, because what really upsets my colleague is that it doesn't work. Oh, yeah. So they have to do it in the web browser. I manually edited the form in the web browser, but thanks to this extension that we're making, you can also do it right here in the VS Code, or in connection with the design kit in Figma. So Lukasz, we can close it off now. You can see that there's a bunch of content. So if you ever see us again, we will likely have this presentation because there is tens of hours of content that we can show you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us directly. Lukasz is behind the Figma plugin. I do the DevKit plugin developer part, and we're happy to help you and your teams if you get in touch with us.
Yeah.
This is the repository. Here you can find the stuff. Thank you. To jsem přetáhl. Cože?
To vůbec nevadí. Nevím, ještě to nejde 7 minut.